What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Today, I want to talk about something very interesting because there is a ton of news for Ethereum that I want to talk about, and this news could propel Ethereum to very high levels. But before we do that, I do want to first look at the Ethereum, just talk about some updates because we did rise a little bit for Ethereum. Of course, as you guys can see, there's not that much price action. Because there's not that much price action, people are starting to shift from crypto into more risky other things. So you might have heard a lot of news right now that people are starting to hook on and using that news to figure out where Ethereum is going to go. One of them is the spot Ethereum ETF that Fidelity and ARK Investments basically are doing. Fidelity actually released a Ethereum invested thesis, which is very interesting. That's very bullish, and I want to talk about that. But before we do that, let's look at Ethereum, because if we look at Ethereum, you can see that after the previous video that I made, we rose a little bit to a specific level, this huge resistance level at 1,654. This is a very big support level, resistance level, not just because we tapped it so many times in the past and it's been used as support, but because this specific area is right now the support level of the moving average, the 20-day moving average. So if we manage to break above 1,657, we manage to break above this moving average, and potentially will be able to confirm support on top of it. If we confirm support on top of this level, this will 100% be a bullish thing for Ethereum. Also, if we break this resistance line right over here, that's another bullish thing. I was talking about how Ethereum might be inside of a pennant. This is a bearish pennant that could take us down to around $1,400. Could still happen, but as long as we stay above this level, it doesn't necessarily need to happen. We did tap the bottom of this actual bull flag that I've been talking about. We are inside of a bull flag. This is a large weekly bull flag that could take us to $2,300 if we break out. But to break out, we need to first reach the top. Since we reached the bottom of this bull flag, the next level is technically the top. So in a sense, you could call this a reversal and us about to reach the top, or we come down for a retest. But that's not what I want to talk about. So there are a little bit more updates on Ethereum. Number one, I just want to talk about the bullish divergence, because there is a bullish divergence. This is a very bullish thing that's happening on Ethereum. So if you look at the price of Ethereum, it is still in a slight downward trend in the short term. So we have been making support after support has been going down, but the RSI on the other hand has been actually rising up pretty rapidly, staying pretty close to this line, and that's actually very bullish. This is a very bullish indicator right over here. This could show a bullish trend on the daily time frame. So if we confirm support at this level right over here, break this resistance line, confirm support, if we manage to get enough momentum to do that right now, even though it's a little tiny bit, if we manage to break above this level and confirm support in the next couple days, that's a very bullish thing. Breaking out of this pattern to the upside will be a very big step for Ethereum. And the next area for us to go to is around $1,700. Now, $1,700 is pretty interesting, because if you take the Fibonacci retracement from the top all the way to the bottom of how far we fell, $1,700 is, depending on where we are, $1,700 is basically inside of the golden pocket for what would be counted as an ABC correction wave. So if we do get rejected, we can tell where we're going to go next. The 0.6 retracement level of this huge pump. And if that's true, then we could be falling down to around 1,400, which I have already talked about in the previous live stream, the previous time I talked about Ethereum, which is what you guys should go watch if you want to see some bearish news for Ethereum. Because I talked about both sides. I'm not saying one thing is right or wrong. I'm showing the indicators that show the potential of something happening. So, for example, we see a ton of bullishness, but we also see bearishness because this bull flag, although it is bullish in the longer time frame, we can bounce around inside of this level for a while. So we will still retain our bullishness in the long term, but in the short term, we could see a bounce up to 1700 or fall down to 1400. Doesn't matter what happens. That's what's happening in the short term. In the long term, it does seem like we're going to have a pump up to $2,300. Now, there's also the descending channel, another bullish thing. But what I want to talk about is some other reasons for bullishness. For example, did you ever hear about the quote called "Buy the rumor, sell the news"? Very interesting quote. Now, that show is showing up right now. That's an interesting quote that people should think about right now, because if you go on major social media outlets, for example, YouTube, X, Reddit, all these posts about bearishness are popping up everywhere. People are very, very bearish on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto in general. And for example, if we open up the fear and greed, you can see the fear and greed is actually very, very low. Fear and greed is at 46. It rose up. It used to be at 38. It rose up a lot when this little tiny pump happened right over here. So people are bearish on Ethereum and Bitcoin, but even though they are, when people are bearish like this, for example, let's go on a different chart that I have right over here. This is a very interesting chart. This is a chart called the Bitcoin sentiment chart. And what this chart does is it basically finds a ton of these popular topics on different social media areas. For example, this is using Reddit. Well, I don't know why it's saying Twitter, but it's actually X. It's Reddit, X, and Bitcoin Talk. It's taking all these different topics from there, piling it up and seeing which one's the most popular. And as you guys can see right now, today, the most popular topics are competition, fork, long-term investment, risk, and strategy. People are thinking long-term, but looking down over here at the bottom half of this channel, of this chart, you can see that this is the risk. This is the Bitcoin sentiment risk. As you guys can see, the Bitcoin sentiment risk is overall at 0.383. That's a bearish outcome. It's a bearish outlook on crypto, on Bitcoin, for example. And as you guys can see right over here, this, even though it rose up a little bit, it's still very, very bullish. Reddit rose a little tiny bit, but overall, people are talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum pretty bearishly. They are giving a ton of statements, except for one thing. And that is the one thing that I think that could pump Ethereum to very, very high levels, and that is the Bitcoin ETF, which people have started to talk about very, very recently. The reason Reddit just jumped up right over here is because the Ethereum ETF has actually came out, and I want to talk about that. Before I want to talk about that, I want to give you guys some history. So, as you guys know, the spot Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock started filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF already about a month or 2 months ago, and they kept getting rejected by the SEC, but there are about 10 companies now who are also trying to file for the for this ETF, but SEC kept denying them because they were saying that it could be easily manipulated. But because of that, and they kept denying BlackRock and stuff like that, but there was a whole entire lawsuit, and because of this lawsuit, this dump happened. But there are some bullish news. For example, on the 28th of August, the DC Circuit ruled in favor of Grayscale, which is one of the competitors that have an ETF that also wants to file an ETF, in a lawsuit challenging the SEC's decision to deny Grayscale BTC conversion to an ETF. So they want to make an ETF, and they were suing SEC for the decision to deny that. And they won. So that's a very bullish thing. Now, after that, they came out with a very big public statement that they are prolonging their decision for all these ETFs. They do not want to post the ETFs because they know the outcome that will happen. Bitcoin will start to gain popularity much, much faster, and it's a hedge against the dollar. So not good. So what they are doing is they're trying to prolong, but people know that the ETFs will, of course, be accepted. I talked about this many times in the past live streams, for example, talking about how BlackRock has had about, I don't remember the exact number, but I believe around 600 different ETFs that it filed, and it only lost one. So BlackRock putting out this Bitcoin ETF, that's a very big thing. But since they delayed this decision, people are starting to shift their focus. People are starting to look at other things. For example, Fidelity, I believe it's the third largest investment firm, has now released a paper on Ethereum investment thesis. It's an 18 long page thesis on Ethereum talking about the Ethereum ETF. They are actually filing Ethereum ETF. That's crazy. And you can see that there are a ton of very good reasons that they are trying to convince everybody to follow, that why they should invest into Ethereum. And let me show you the conclusion that they write. Is very interesting. Conclusion: there is virtually no doubt that Ethereum is leading blockchain technology platform that enables developers to build decentralized application, many of which are capable of things that could not be done on Bitcoin's network due to Ethereum's superior programmability, which is agreed, which everybody agrees, and I agree too. Even though Bitcoin is, for example, the gold standard, the gold, basically the equivalent of a digital gold in crypto, Ethereum is much more easy to program. It's much better to build upon. It's used to build the blockchain technology. That's why it's leading to blockchain technology, and that's why Fidelity is starting its ETF. And not just that, I believe I actually closed the tab, but ARK Investments also are coming out with an ETF for Bitcoin. If I could pull it up real quick. Let me real quick, give me a second to pull it up because I really want to show you guys this. ARK Investment. Because this is another Ethereum ETF. There's another company who's also going into Ethereum and trying to make their own ETF. Here you go. I pulled up Cathie Wood. ARK Investment wants to launch an Ether ETF. Bitcoin exchange. Well, okay. Whatever. Cathie Wood, a leader of ARK Investments, is also trying to create an ETF for Ethereum, and this is a spot Ethereum ETF. So that is just an ETF that follows Ethereum, no futures, no nothing like Fidelity is trying to do. It's different, like for example, all the Bitcoin spot ETFs are trying to do. And what I believe is that once the Bitcoin spot ETFs are going to be released, they've been trying to do this for so long, but once they do, it's going to come like a flood, and the Ethereum spot ETFs are also going to be released. Now, the deadline, I believe, for these ETFs is actually around October. So, talking about October, that's not that far away. It's literally a month. And in this month, of course, so much can happen. So, while we're waiting, that's the maximum. October, while we're waiting, so much could happen. But I guarantee, as soon as this spot Ethereum ETF comes out, it's going to be crazy because spot Ethereum ETF will increase Ethereum's popularity by 3 times. I'm serious, at least 3 times. That's crazy. And if this happens, it could propel Ethereum to not just the $2,300 target I'm talking about because of this bull flag, but to much higher areas. And the question now is, are we going to reach all-time highs before the halving? I've been talking about the halving cycle for so long. And if I real quick open the charts for the halving cycle, I want to talk about them again because it's very, very important. Okay. The halving cycle is very important. If I go into logarithmic time and zoom out to a larger area, like this, I believe you got to be on, there you go. So, the halving cycle is basically a 4-year cycle that will restart in March of 2024. You guys probably heard me talk about this on my live streams a ton. And I talked about how in the first quarter of the year, we reached the all-time high. Second to third quarter is already a fall. Third quarter is people thinking that we're going to reach another all-time high, but we actually wait around until a couple months after this halving and then start rising into the all-time high once again. And if this is the case, and the ETFs will be filed in maximum October, then technically this bullish news should propel us to much higher areas like 2,500, which is a once big step closer to the all-time highs that were at $5,000 for Ethereum. And if this is the case, then now the question is, do we break this cycle that we've been following for already 3 times? Because if we go back in history, as you guys can see, we had this cycle of reaching all-time highs in the green zone, falling down until the yellow, and then staying going up and down until orange, reaching about the halfway point. Reaching the halfway point, that's the key. And then having that last pump cycle happen already at the next cycle, at the next halving. And if this is the case, which has been happening already 3 times, then we technically don't need to see a dump down, of course. We could be having this slow rise that we have been doing already, but we could continue to have this slow rise until March of 2024. This cycle that I'm talking about does not hinder Bitcoin's ability to pump or fall. All it's saying is that going to, for example, for Ethereum to $5,000 is most likely not going to happen until the halving. The cycle's done. But talking about the Bitcoin dominance, if I load the Bitcoin dominance, if I could find it real quick, I'll just click some random chart and show it to you guys. The Bitcoin dominance is showing us another reason to be bullish on Bitcoin. I'm on Ethereum, I'm sorry. Because the Bitcoin dominance, if you look at it, it's very, very bullish for Ethereum. If we go on the shorter time frame, for example, the 1 hour time frame, and we look at it like this right now, there is something that seems like, for example, a head and shoulders pattern. I don't know if this was the head and shoulders pattern, but unless we go right above this area right over here, the previous higher high, unless we go above 50.12%, if we stay down here for this long in this box area, because we are at a huge support. Of course, we did rise recently. What rising means for the Bitcoin dominance is that Bitcoin is growing in strength and the altcoin season will most likely not happen. But what I'm excited about is that if we actually break this area right over here in the Bitcoin dominance, which we have not left yet. You can see that we had the same pump and then fall back down. We have been trying to leave the support area for already a while, ever since August 18. But if we break below this area, which will happen if we fall right back down, that's why you have to monitor the Bitcoin dominance. If we break this area, that could be a very bullish sign for the altcoin season, which Ethereum leads all the time. So combining all of these indicators, all of this news together, the Bitcoin dominance and everything, what can we say about Ethereum? Well, looking at just technical analysis, we can see either support or resistance will direct us into 2 different paths. If we confirm resistance, and this will happen, by the way, in the next couple days, we have at least couple days to most a week to decide if this is an actual indicator, and whatever we do, we will do it big. Of course, this bearish pennant does technically not need to happen. Of course, it does look a little ugly. If we delete it, and we can delete our bullish divergence also, if we delete this bullish pennant, you can see that we are in between 2 huge areas of support and resistance. This is a very big support and resistance area for Ethereum. This is a consolidation point, and as long as we stay inside of this, technically we can just bounce around waiting for something to happen, and people will be annoyed. And this is the part where lots of small users that just want to make quick money could just be just be selling all their crypto and leaving the market just because it's doing nothing. And a lot of people and a lot of things, people will be liquidated from both sides until we figure out what to do. But the news, the Bitcoin bullish news, the Ethereum bullish news about the ETFs, as soon as that ETF will be released, Bitcoin will start rising up. That news is very, very bullish for Ethereum. But the question is, are we going to see a pump past this level? If we see a rise right now, if we see us in the next couple of days break this level, 1,654, and manage to break above 1,683, that's the next bullish step. Once we break above this level, you can see us making a W pattern that could reach 0.5. If we reach 1816, which we will most likely do if we make this pattern, we could see a pump not just to 1900, which is the target of this W pattern, but because we break above the bull flag, that could cause us to reach 1,000, 2,300, $2,500. I can actually show you guys the exact target by drawing out the chart, drawing out this bull flag for you guys by grabbing the price from the bottom to the top, dragging it over to where we are right now, and the target is actually around $2,700. That's the target of this bull flag if we break out. And it's not a question of if we break out, we will break out. It's a question of when we break out, because this is a very long-term Bitcoin indicator. And so we can bounce around inside of this indicator, like I said already, for a while. We can bounce around inside of this indicator for a while. And so the next target, since we technically confirm support on the bottom, if we break this resistance area, next target is 100%, 1,750. At this level, we will most likely see something sort of like this, a long tap of the resistance area. But the question is, will we break it up, or will we get rejected and do it like we did right over here and fall down to around 1,400? Either things could happen. So what we got to watch is what's happening right now. Speaking of which, Bitcoin leads this. Bitcoin is showing us, Bitcoin is actually, Ethereum's correlated with Bitcoin. That's what I'm trying to say. And what Bitcoin did was Bitcoin confirmed support at this support level at 25,500. And what's interesting, broke above this 20-day moving average. And if this is the case that we confirm support in the next couple daily candles, that is very bullish, because as you guys can see, Bitcoin is also making a sort of W pattern that, if we confirm support, could cause us to rise up to around 27,000, 28,000. Breaking this neckline could cause us to propel to past this target area to around $30,000. That is a very bullish thing, and it could propel Ethereum to that top. Well, I don't have it anymore. The top of the bull flag, and give us another shot of breaking it to the upside. Now, that's my analysis for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. If you did, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Daily streams like this, leave a comment down below what you want me to talk about, any analysis you want to do. I'll see you in the next live stream. Bye.